What's poppin', everyone? It's your boy Levi, and we're back for season 2 of Play Like a Pro. Made some upgrades to the thumbnails. It's a little bit more of a structured series now, so it should be better than season 1. Super excited to bring it back. This is my first YouTube live stream since season 1 of both the series that we've been doing, so kind of excited to be back over here on YouTube. Twitch just really isn't my thing, but I enjoy streaming over here much more. Appreciate all of you that come out to either stream or watch the videos. Today for Play Like a Pro, we're going to be looking at WaterFudge, the current rank 1 player on the NA ladder. Been climbing a lot with Magnus, so we'll look at his Magnus gameplay. It's very interesting. You know, Magnus kind of gets a bad rap for being really interactive. All you kind of do is just spin on your enemy's head, but he makes it look pretty interactive, so super excited to break down 3 games for you guys. I hope you guys are all doing well. This will be my makeup stream. Normally streams will be on Friday. I don't normally stream on Tuesdays. I'll still be doing live coaching this Friday. For anyone that's signed up, make sure you click the forum on my community tab or in my Discord to get in on that. But this is Play Like a Pro. This is a series where we watch the top players of NA, dissect what they do, and see how they just climb the rank ladder. I'm in the wrong area. I need to be in the replays. So game number 1, code will be pinned in the chat if anyone wants the Magnus build that WaterFudge runs. I believe it's a 4-zone build. Chapel Factory, Forest Uptown. And already right off the start, first thing I want to point out, look where he is, right? Gets the far spawn over here in Chapel. No factory is going to be a second zone. Runs over to this loot distribution. Super important. Make sure you get a good starting loot distribution. If this one's taken, get the closest one you can to where you're going. This will save you tons of time because you get that speed up off the start, and he's right here for his second distribution. Also notice crafted bread with tears. Magnus not known for SP regen, plus I believe he runs Spirit Culling on this build, so you don't really need the SP. Bread with Tears will be enough. It also clears up an inventory space, and it's decent food for early game. It's not the best, but it'll be okay for how tanky Magnus is in these early fights. I will get my mouse off the screen. This is my one bad habit that I'm hopefully going to eliminate in Season 2 of Play Like a Pro. Into Forest here. Notice how when he took the factory hunts too, he collected boxes towards the Hyperloop. In Forest here, grabbing most of his items. Gonna have 3 purple items, it looks like. And he's on a very quick pace, still 1 minute and 15 seconds left in the day, and mostly completed his build. He's gonna take the hunts here. Watch how he groups up the hunts, right? Aggro's the bat, aggro's the boar, and then spins on top of all 4 of them at once so they can efficiently farm faster. You want to make sure that you're grouping up your hunts. It's much quicker to take it that way. So when I spawn, it's better for me to ignore the loot closer to me and go for the ones near my next zone. If there's no one in that zone, yes. If the zone's very busy and someone's in that spawn, then you kind of just have to default to whatever spawn that you get. But if your zone is open, yeah, you either want to take the one that's closest to your next zone or take the one that's closest to the Hyperloop. And you're going to be able to use that movement speed off the start so that it's not too much time. If you click a box by accident and you lose or use an ability and lose the movement speed, just take the one that you get. But typically it'll be a lot faster to do it that way. Full build here. Gonna look to get a kill on this Vanya. Wallstun has the dial in follow-up. Really good play here to cut off the Vanya escape over the wall. So Fudge makes a really good play here. Vanya's trapped over here, right? This will be their first. Once again, the pen is back for Season 2. Vanya is right here. Fudge walks up, wall stuns the Vanya here, and then immediately runs back towards this wall, right? Because Vanya can E over this wall. Fudge knows that his teammate Lee Dailin is coming this way. With that wall stun, has enough damage that's going to be able to finish off the Vanya on her own, so he just cuts off the escape. There's no point if he spins on top of this Vanya and then she E's over the wall. if he stays there, she just gets away, right? You have Aya here for backup too, so there's no way that the Vanya 1v1's the Dylan, plus she's not strong enough early too. So really good heads up play. If he stays here, they probably don't get that kill. So really smart. Magnus being one of the few characters with point and click CC too. Really important that you get that down on a priority target. And night one here, we're grouped up with the team already. Gonna look to get some bears. Magnus doesn't really need too much mastery compared to the carries, so no point in him like spinning on top of these bears. He just has to kind of hit them a little bit for mastery. Warehouse bears as well. Just a few hits on each, mostly going to Aya. And we'll see what they do for a day 2 objective. No teleporter down here, so they will have to do some walking if they're going to contest one. Also getting his prepped online. That looks like glacial shoes. He's got ice and slippers. Has replaced his bread with tears with Hawaiian pizza and breakfast sandwiches. Straggler Adriana here. There's the Q, there's the bike. That's going to be too much damage. Magnus really good against stragglers, right? Able to chase them down with the bike easily, slow them with the Q for his teammates, wall stun with E. Those isolated situations, Magnus is a super strong pick for those, so you want to look for those out in the early game. Anyone caught without their team. And they're doing a good job of grouping with their team, walking around. TP is going to come into archery. That looks like it'll be a meteorite contest. Magnus going first, but I also just TPing again. We'll see what Magnus does, if he's the one that takes the meteorite or if he tries to make space for his teammates while he takes it. I'll get my mouse away. So Aya's going to collect the meteorite. Fudge with radar scan is going to see teams. Look how much space he's giving for his Aya, right? Walking all the way up. He's not looking to engage on Nadine here. He's just looking to be a threat so that Nadine and her team can't walk up to the Aya. Main problem for me is during combat, I'll walk in knowing I should do a certain rotation, but panic and I end up messing it up, or I'll just not know who to target. That's an experience thing. Muscle memory experience. You can practice your combos in practice tool. That also helps too. I'm gonna get a fight here, it looks like. Might see the bike come out. Taking a lot of poke. That's kind of the one downside to Magnus, right? You take too much poke. Very early too. You're susceptible to poke before you get those tank items online. It's going to be able to get a heal up. Aya steps up here. That's going to force Magnus to walk back, and he's going to get wall stun for it. So that's going to be a dead Aya and a dead Magnus. So that's going to be a communication issue, right? Like Magnus tried to back up, or Fudge tried to back up because he took too much poke. Aya kind of stepped up at the same time, and I think Fudge, realizing that his Aya stepped up, tried to frontline for her. And they end up both going down. Shuka kind of read that with the E, E's in, hits the Magnus. That's not really one person's fault specifically though. That's more of a communication issue. Knowing who to target is basically like which team has like a squishy damage dealer. Sometimes you have to dive them and kill them before the fight. If your team has like a marksman, you can kind of play front to back, and that just means like hitting what's in front of you and forcing your way back. It's kind of a race that way. But if you don't have a marksman on your team, you'll likely have to identify primary targets. In the alley here, battle zone coming soon. Wolves are going to be spawning soon. We'll go back to Fudge now that it's back alive. Just taking out some leftover hunts before the battle zone. Don't want to miss the battle zone by getting into a fight. Looks like Dylan's going to try and make a call. It's a little greedy with 8 seconds left in the battle zone. They're going to be split here, it looks like. Dylan's going to be forced to run up here because she kind of greeted for an item, and they're going to see the pings. And she's she's just dead. Silenced herself too and caught out. So if you're the Dylin, you know, this is just going to be trying to get out of the battle zone quicker. But Dylin likely bought that item because she thought it would turn the tide for this battle zone. But because she bought it and she was in such a bad position for it, it ends up not making a difference at all. They would have had a better chance trying to win this fight staying together than split like that, obviously. So kind of just want to stay with your team at that point. Win the battle zone. You'll get the call in right after too. I'm hearing like Dylan's audio. It's probably a spectator bug. Hey Len, how's it going? Is it me or did they buff Magnus this release? A little more than what I was expecting from the Death Notes. I think he just does a lot of damage for not having to build a lot of tank items. Like, you kind of just build somewhat tanky, somewhat damage, and he kind of does a lot of both. Doesn't die, sits in the middle of your team, you can't ignore him. He's a little bit stronger than I think the rest of the tanks at the moment, but he's also very like single target dependent. Which is crazy because he has an AoE spin, but some more hunts here in Forest. Once again, grouping hunts up together, taking boars and bats at the same time. They did drop some wards behind too with the bats. They're gonna cut off both like angles, right? Like this bat will take the vision off of this bush, and then this bat will take the vision off of this bush, so they can see if anyone's exiting behind them. They should see. Oh no, they won't. Oh, they'll see it on this bat. So they know a team's gonna have to exit out here. They can set a vision trap. They're gonna go for it. And that's an easy wall stun, hammer skill, burn down the Lennox. Really good to just hit the front line there and pick up a kill. Don't need to overcommit for that. Just a nice vision trap that they were able to seek out and then punish for a kill. Notice that the Dylin ult is on cooldown. It's gonna play back a little bit. Not looking for an engage, not looking to spin on the enemy team. He could have walked up to Bernice there, decided not to because Dylin doesn't have ultimate. Really good discipline there. Day 3. I know it says day 2. I'm gonna try and fix the spectator glitch real quick. It might do it again. Okay. So it says day 2 at the top here, but it is day 3. Day 3 is a super popular call-in time currently. A lot of people like to call in items for day 3. You can also choose to get objectives, but I think mostly people use it to call in. This zone is also red. I don't know why it's showing yellow. He's going to get Mithril, and that's going to go to Monarch, increase the CDR. That means more wall stuns, more slows, more bikes, more spins. Good overall item. Now I have Aya's audio on Magnus. That's interesting. And they're going to get a free meteorite here too. They would have seen on radar scan with day 3 that there's no one down here. So after calling in, makes a straight line to this meteorite. Gonna pick it up. That looks like Astra helmet. For Magnus? Yeah, that's gonna be the astronaut helmet for Magnus. And that provides healing reduction, you know? Magnus W, while it may not nuke a team's health bar, it will apply healing reduction to pretty much everyone. So super good pickup. Aya doesn't need the meteorite currently with her items. She just needs 2 trees left to finish her build and likely will replace one with blood. She already has her 2 meteorite items. Otherwise, I would imagine that it would have went to her. Bike is also really good at applying healing reduction. Is this a live review? It's like live, like spectate, yeah. I'm not like taking submissions. That's for Friday's stream. This is just WaterFudge that we're looking at, but yeah, this is live. The game's spectate, but I'm live, rather. Back in the chapel here. Gonna take more hunts. I was gonna split off a little bit. There's a team coming. Okay, she's grouping back up again. Good sniper check from Bernice. Aya isn't gonna get a little caught here. She should have seen that she wasn't gonna be able to walk by here and just not have gone this way. I think she's gonna die for it. Yeah, spell a meme on the Sua, and then she gets caught out there. Later in the game, you definitely want to be grouped up right on top of your team. You don't want to be like straggling off like that. Even that small amount of space is enough for someone like a Sua to capitalize. Lead Island's a little split now, but she's not going to get punished for it. They have to play safe until their eye is back, which means they're not going to be able to get Omega. Not that they really were in a position to anyway. Now I have Sua's audio. Interesting. Magnus doesn't do a ton of damage late game. He does more than enough to just not ignore him. He's not gonna like nuke someone's health bar, but he will do a decent amount. So they have Aya back. And notice how Fudge has 112 credits. Typically night 3 is when you want to start saving for credits. Why Blade of Truth for the force field in this build? I think it's because it allows him to stick onto people better. You can use Blade of Truth while you're in spin, helps you chase them down with the speed. Force field I think is probably still good, I just don't think the value from it is as strong as... Gonna get stunned here as a Blade of Truth. Fudge is super tanky here too, so he knows he can face check this bush. Should know that they're in there. Yeah, just walks in. Dylin probably not as tanky, can't really face check this, but Fudge gonna look to reset on the other side of the fight and then bike back in. That's a really good play here. Okay, I like this play a lot. We'll talk about this in a second. Aya's gonna get pulled in. There's a spin. He waited for cooldowns, which is good. Lennox has a big health advantage, so gonna look to run. Dodges the Q. Waits for cooldowns. Should have enough damage to finish off the Lennox, I imagine. So really good knowledge of his character there to know that this is a winnable fight still. So let's talk about what Fudge did at the start of this fight. So Fudge gets stunned off the console. So everyone knows that they're in this bush, right? Dylin probably not tanky enough to walk up here, but Fudge most certainly is. So Fudge is going to get engaged on here, right? He's taken the Piolo CC. Aya doesn't have to watch out for Piolo, just has to watch out for Whip Skill. Whip Skill is going to actually get used on Dylin, so the only thing that Aya has to worry about is getting hit by Bianca Q. So that enables a lot already. Unfortunately, Dylin gets whipped in here. She probably should have been playing a little bit farther back. But Fudge, seeing the Bianca ult come down, right? Pretty much at this point, you know your Dylin is dead, and you know your Aya is not in range of taking damage at the moment. Fudge is going to exit out the fight here. Make sure he doesn't get hit by the Bianca ult. Once it comes down, instantly hops back onto his bike and gets back in the fight, right? Now, Fudge has W coming up in 2 seconds. Can look to just spin in the middle of the team. Doesn't, right? Waits for his Aya to get back into safety in the bush. Peels back a little bit, right? Like, this is the smallest, like, micro adjust in position. He goes from, like, right here just to, like, a small bit back, just to right here. And that allows him to kind of body block the Aya, take any damage for her, allow her to just get into the bush, get him back into a better position. And I think the biggest thing is he also gets the wall stun on Bianca, so that's going to be an easy burn down. Aya free hitting, I'm lagging like shit. Aya does get hit by the whip skill, unfortunately. Doesn't have E up, so not crazy that she got hit by it. Probably also not keeping track of the cooldown. Fudge is gonna spin onto A0 here, get the kill. And I know this is gonna look like a obvious Lennox advantage. But I think Fudge would have just seen how much damage that Lennox Q did to him and knows that he can turn this, right? So what he's going to do is he's going to run into this bush down here, and that's going to allow him to dodge this Q. And then once this Q dodges, he walks back, doesn't get the wall stun, runs to the other side of her to try and get the wall stun. So good play there, just didn't get the execution. But knows that with his cooldowns and the full spin, he's going to be able to get the spin reset on top of the Lennox and spin again. And that's going to be enough damage for him to take her down. So that's a really dire situation. He knows how much damage his character can do. That's really just knowledge of the game showing right there. Lennox probably should, as soon as she missed that Q, should have ran back, tried to look for a revive, could have put the pressure on Magnus to force an engage, and then whipped him away before he got his W spin down. But probably saw the health advantage, knew she had shield coming up, and thought that was winnable for her. It's a really good play on Fudge's part. And all this time a Mega never got taken, so that's going to be an Omega for them. So more hunts going to be taken here in archery. I hope they release Midnight Shinobi Lennox someday. Yeah, it was an event skin in the past, so it should only be 3 loot boxes, unfortunately. I'm not sure if they're going to repeat the event skins. Midnight Star going to come out, or Evening Star? Yeah, Evening Star going to come out for Fudge here. Once again, using all his credits, doesn't really need to use them to revive anymore. It's going to be day 5 soon. Wick kind of pathing up towards them too. They might look to burn it down. Yeah, pulls it into the corridor. That way he can get a full spin, hammer skill, E into the wall as well. And they're just going to be able to burn this down before anyone gets there. Bosco going to come out for Rio, not going to be in time. This Magnus isn't building as tanky as most do. Yeah. A lot of people build full damage or full tank Magnus, and I think it's not as good because you're kind of just getting ignored in a fight that way. You don't die whatsoever, but I don't think you have the natural bulk. I think when you're really good, you can kind of manage your positioning to where you can compensate for some of the tank items. If you watch how Fudge has played a lot of these fights, he's always pulling back towards his team, right? Like he's never just 1v3 spinning in the middle of his team. I think that's super important. Also, I want to point out how little they've moved around the map in the late game. You know, staying safe, even though they're one of the strongest teams. They pretty much spent from half of night 3 until day 5 in archery, just getting to school. Like, not too much movement, not looking to get third party anywhere. Just kind of getting their items online too. It does become dangerous to move around the map too much. You don't want to be hyper looping, especially in the late game. Try to walk if you can. Gonna get vision of school here. This is going to be the final zone, so they know they have to come back into school. We'll be able to see which teams walk into school before them, if they choose to leave now. Notice that the Bernice straggler is nearby from radar scan. And once again, comes to fire station, instantly to console, right? Value of vision late game. Bernice is kind of caught here. He doesn't have a team. Gonna look to get some damage down the Aya. Vanya E's in. Okay, so it's the wall stun. He's actually gonna live. So this here is an example of, oh, he might die to this bow skill actually. This is an example of going too hard for, or overcommitting for kills. The Bernice is by himself, right? Like he has no chance of winning this game pretty much. He's just looking for a chance to get an escape angle. Gonna zoom out here. We're gonna keep an eye on this team down here, the Vanya, Leanne, Adriana team. Now Adriana's a little bit farther behind, but they're gonna walk up into this Bernice, and they know Bernice is fighting someone. They would have heard the Bernice ult. They would probably don't have vision of the eye yet, but they can see that he's fighting someone. He's just taking damage too. They can see his health bar. Vanya here is gonna use W, which is her only defensive ability, because she eased in as well. So right now she's stuck in the middle of the enemy Bernice, the Aya, the Magnus, and the Dial-In is flanking her. Like, she has no way of getting back out. This is an overcommit for a kill here. She's gonna get burnt down by the Magnus. Dial-In finds her way out, is gonna go drowsy. And look at Leanne. Leanne's in the same kind of position. She didn't commit as hard as the Vanya did, but she's a quarter health starting this fight. And they've kind of traded here, health bar for health bar, but they're already down a team member. Like, that only works when you're at even strength. Leanne gonna be forced to ult here. Gonna get wall stunned. And they're getting third partied as well. So really kind of a misplay here. Committed too hard just for the one kill Bernice. Need to be able to recognize those situations so that there's 5 teams alive in day 5 that you're probably going to get third partied if you take a fight. Look to establish vision first. That's why Magnus ran over to console. And don't commit too hard for those straggler kills. Oh, he doesn't end up dying here. Needs to get out though. Okay. Dial-In kind of needed to recognize. So that's an overcommit again from Nadine. Dial-In kind of needed to recognize that they had to get out here. One thing that you do want to do in the late game is you kind of want to treat your team's health bars as a pool rather than individual health bars. Because Magnus had no health, right? That's a huge portion of your team's health gone. And Dial-In had no ult, I believe. She had to ult out from the drowsiness. You kind of recognize that any fight that you take is not going to be a win. So instead of like Dial-In doing whatever she did, either like stutter stepping up there, she needed to just like run out, and she doesn't get punished for it because the Nadine overcommits. I'm gonna pause it real quick. She doesn't get punished for it because the Nadine overcommitted here, probably didn't see the eye, and she gets burned down instantly, but they very much could have lost the team member here. And this is the final fight. Notice how Magnus biked in, right? Biked into the other Magnus. All he needs to do against this team is stall the Celine, right? Luke's not going to kill Aya Lee Dial-In, and Magnus is here peeling for her own Celine. Magnus can't do anything to stop another Magnus, right? All he needs to do is sit and spit on the Celine and preoccupy her. Celine has no tools of dealing with this. She has E-Blast, which Magnus has 2 ways of stopping. Yeah, peeling in air quotes. There's no way for this Magnus to get the other Magnus off unless he has like that skill, which he doesn't. And the Celine also can't ignore the Magnus at this point because he's 5 transition, sorry, spinning on top of her head. And they don't have timer, so they can't run into red zone either. Basically solos the Celine. Look how much health the Celine has. Celine's got 250 health from just the tank Magnus spinning on her head. Their Magnus is also low, and he hasn't even been using anything, right? Like, he can't peel the Magnus off. He can't engage on the Aya, who's the other threat. Lee Dial-In here is going to leave the Aya. I think that's fine. It's a little bit of a risky play because Luke does have a chance at killing Aya, but not with these items, actually. Actually, yeah, Aya just kills him here. So this is fine. Lee Dial-In's going to go and clean up the stragglers from Magnus. The Magnus 1v1 is very funny, yeah. But that's basically just him recognizing that the only thing he needs to do in this fight is preoccupy the Celine. And that's just going to leave the Luke left to try and 1v3, which he can't. Yeah, there's no way. So, really good play. Really good game for game 1. Super controlled. Ironically, we're going to get the Lee Dial-In end screen, even though I think she did the least amount in that game. But hopefully that was a good game 1. Kind of hope to change your mindset about Magnus, that he's not just like this meathead that just like sits and spins on the enemy team. There's more to it than that. All right, game 2, and we're on the same build. Which Magnus is he? He's this one. Okay, cool. So last time we saw Fudge spawn up here in Chapel, right? And he ran to this distribution because it's the closest one to factory, his next zone. Because a Magnus already spawned in this zone, he's opted to just take the zone that he's in. This is the second closest one anyways. And I think we're likely to see him just run to the teleporter because the Magnus is obviously going to do the same thing he just did and take this distribution. Doesn't want to follow behind the same character. Typically, you don't want to follow behind any character, but you can if you're like an amp character and someone's a crit character. You don't typically share that many items, so we'll see if he runs straight to Hyperloop. I mean, people mostly diss Magnus for his micro, which is uber valid, but every character's macro can still be complicated. Yeah, in theory, Magnus is super simple, but I think playing Magnus the way that Fudge does is not the easiest thing in the world to do. There's a lot he does for a fight, whether it's just spacing or having a presence. Yeah, it's going to TP in the factory. Unfortunately, there's a billion people here, so he is going to have to loot behind a Mai anyways. And we'll see how he adapts his build, being a little bit slower than normal. Still looking for items. Once again, we did bread with tears again. He also takes both his waters instantly, which is interesting. Yeah, I think it's because he runs Spirit Culling on his build, so doesn't really need the SP, and it helps free up inventory space. But he picked up a bread, so maybe it's not about the inventory space. Maybe he just likes having a semi-okay early game food. It's not great. Really slow factory. He's missing a second glue. In forest once again. Last time we saw him get 3 items and take some of the hunts. I get the feeling he's going to skip these bottom hunts. One, because he sees pings on them, and the other Magnus is doing it. Notice how this Magnus didn't group up the hunts, and he's going to be much slower. Yeah, opts to just skip the hunts. Doesn't have 3 purples like he normally has at this time. Goes straight to Uptown, and now he's going to outpace the other Magnus who's on the same build as him. Really good adjustment there. Has a Martina on his team, so he will have to play a little bit more passive in the early game. Can't be really looking for stragglers. Not going to have the damage really to hunt people down. Unbroadcast Martina is not going to be very helpful for him. See him take the dogs again. He's going to take the dogs and does get here before the other Magnus. And as you can see, he did outpace the other Magnus. Still looking for items. Immediately groups for this team. TP's on the Adriana. Martina's here too. Gonna look to get Martina's stacks online. We're gonna see a bike on the Haze. Haze with a good juke here. Although she did make a ping hunting the boar, so I think they know that she didn't go down. Yeah, they do find her anyway. Adriana does have enough damage to hopefully compensate for the Martina. That's 1 stack online. And they are in the bear zone again, so another bear zone for night 1. Looks like they've already been taken, though. But I like the thought. Yeah, no bears, unfortunately. Looking to see if they can hunt down the Echion. Okay, really good play there, right? So that was like a bait, almost. I went back a little too far. But he runs past the Echion. Probably looking to bait the Echion into Eing through him. Like, he's not... Like, he has no cooldowns, right? So, like, what's he gonna do? Just bike on him in melee range? He needs to have to chase. So, he, instead of just, like, wasting time auto-attacking, he gets himself to a position where he can get himself into a wall stun, right? Not basic attacking, not spinning if he had it up, but getting himself into a good position so that when Echion runs by this wall, gets a good wall stun. So, always looking for that, not looking to E randomly. He could have just E'd beforehand, but really good patience. This team is going to absolutely obliterate everything in a corridor late game. Yeah, that's a very scary team fight in a narrow choke point. Adriana, I think, is a really good pick to pair with Magnus. She can kind of keep up with Magnus's speed and chase. Throwing Molotovs, throwing oil slicks, keeping the ground lit.
Now would be a good time to watch where you're going.
Sorry, my cord is caught in my chair. I don't even know how this happened. Okay, it should be fixed now. That was annoying. Temple is able to pick up the temple tree. I imagine they went here to try and get the Martina some stacks. No one happened to be there, unfortunately for her. Fudge is going to take the tree, I think, or did he give it away? No, he took the tree and made glacials. And they are going to pick up some kills in the hotel. I think he picked up the glacials here because Martina not going to have enough damage to really carry a fight until she gets broadcast form. Adriana kind of just explodes her damage in burst. Obviously does a ton of damage. I think it could have gone to either her or him, but I think he's going to be doing a lot of the early game continuous damage. Another wall stun. Instantly hammer skills after. And that's going to be a lot of corpses for Martina. Magnus is such a good pick against stragglers, right? We saw the Echion straggler. Now we see the Emma straggler. Really good dodge on the Yon W. He's probably holding the bike. Yeah, there it is. Also walks through the ropes, so his team doesn't have to. And then there's a kill. How many stacks is Martina at? She's at 5 now. I guess she's at 6. I don't know. It says 6 in the tooltip, but it says 5 on the icon, so who knows? She needs 8, yes. Gonna look for battle zone here, I imagine. Maybe in the temple. Yeah, there's the TP back in the temple. See if his team makes it in time. Wall stunned again. His Adriana doesn't make it in time. Interesting. Opts to get as much room away from the other teams as possible. He also has Adriana hitting over the wall here. Gonna take up the mutant bear. Okay. For those of you that play League of Legends, you might be familiar with the principle of making the highest percentage play. That's kind of what Fudge is doing here right now, right? He's in a battle zone with 2. Adriana's not going to be able to hit because they have to walk down here. So the chances of them getting a third party are probably pretty decent. They're not terrible, I'd say. Magnus is really good in third party scenarios. Martina has broadcast for him now, so she'll be doing damage. I don't think it's a terrible play. However, there's a mutant bear here. The chance of them getting XP from this mutant bear is 100%, right? It's infinitely higher than making the third party play. So you always want to try and make the percentage, or make the play that has the highest percentage of working out most of the time. This is 100% chance to gain experience. This is at like highest 99, right? Like there is a chance they like and look for a third party and then they just die without getting any kills. I doubt that would happen, but you get the point. I really like this play. I think it was weird with the screen. I think a lot of play can benefit from making the highest percentage play at all times rather than kind of just looking for kills. They're going to be low on timer here, so they will have to try and get into the circle, and they do. Magnus going to bike in. Really good curve, actually. Going to get a lot of damage down on the Sua and pick up a kill. There's the bear helping them out too. So not only do they get the ABC angle, they get the ABCD angle, and they're actually going to clean up everybody. Huge play here. They got the bears once again helping out. So that's best case scenario, right? Like they get the mutant bear over here and get a successful third party. Doesn't typically happen too well or too often where you get everything like that. Martina definitely should have waited for Magnus to aggro these bears. They're definitely beating her ass. That one is going to reset. But look at their XP, or look at their mastery now, right? 11 mastery over on Magnus and Martina. Look at the other masteries in this game. Yes, there's people with 12 and 13. This team is pretty far ahead too. But 2 people with 11 is pretty good for this point in the game. Adri is kind of doing her own thing at the moment. Just staying alive. She did end up picking up a meteorite somewhere. And a mithril, it looks like. The CC chain from the bears was brutal. Yeah, that was a little bit rough. Definitely let your tank aggro mutant berries first, or hordes. Yeah, it was a really good play for them in the battle zone. Once again, we're grouping up all the hunts together for efficiency. Gonna take 2 boars at once. And a dog. And last time we saw Magnus call in on day 3. As mentioned, it is a popular call-in time. Probably will see them call in again here in police station. Can I see his tactical skill? I can. So he does have level 2 tactical skill, so he does level it up. Spends the 100 credits to at least get it to level 2. Purple box here is glitched. You can actually see it. Kind of knows he's tanky enough. They got a force core from the battle zone, so it has guardian suit. Kind of just walk up a little bit without his team. I don't think he's ever looking to engage there. I think he's just giving space again for his team to call in. Would have seen the team on radar scan. He didn't go guardian last time though. He didn't upgrade his chest piece until the very end, and he went myth armor. I think, though, because he had a lead Eileen last game, where he was kind of splitting frontline damage between him and her, so it didn't have to be as tanky. This game, with a Martina and Adriana, he's going to be the solo frontline, and they're going to play a lot of front-to-back fights. Is going to be taking up most of the damage. I'd imagine that's probably just the adaptive decision there. And that also means he gets to spend his credits a little bit more, right? Like, he has 200 credits now. I wonder if we'll see him call in something else again. Because he's the solo frontline, he's going to be in the middle of the team. And we do. He's going to make another call in. He is going to be in the middle of the team. Doesn't necessarily need his credits for reviving. Just needs to get as much as he can down in these fights and then go down, probably. It's going to be Martina or Adriana. Most likely Adriana that lives, so she should probably hold on to credits for resing. At some point, though, he will be too tanky, to die. He's 4 transitions on day 3, which is huge, especially as a front line. I think they're going to see these pings. Yeah, they're going to see these pings down here in stream, so they know a team is here. Once again, playing a vision trap, seeing if the team walks up. They're going to see the ping down here for the TP in, so it knows they can go and take console. And they will see the team exit on these cams. Are going to play the vision trap again. Will they see them walk up here? They will. They'll see them walk up on this cam. So let's see how they play the bush. Siwa does have a face check, so. Okay, really good play there, actually. We'll talk about that play in a second. Magnus can't 1v1 people late game. He can if he has a huge transition difference. From an equal fight? No, you're correct, Bill. Okay. There's a really smart play that Fudge made here. I'm going to see if I can pause at the right time. Okay. So they see this team come in on this cams, right? They see Siwa's in front. Fudge knows that based on Siwa's kit, she can Q this bush and they can get vision. Right? Which means the farthest that she can probably Q from is about here, which is way too far for any of this to be a wall stun. So Fudge, knowing that he can't make the wall stun here and that she's not going to just, and this is also Superior, right? Like Superior is going to make the smart play and not blindly walk into this bush. He's going to walk all the way out to here as Sue is approaching up to this point. And that's like pretty much the only play that they kill this Sua. And I think either Fudge was probably spam pinging or Martina also recognized this, because as Sua walks up to here as well, Martina starts the ult, right? Like this is, they have to pull the trigger at like this line right here. They can't, the Sua is just not going to walk all the way up to here. That's just not a play that Sua's going to make. She has face check abilities. So not to be like this is the only timeline, but I think that's the only like play. Like look, Martina already comes down. Superior is not in range of a Q check yet. He's already walking out of the bush. Yeah, the preamp on the Martina ult's really smart. I would like to see Adri start throwing Molotovs here as well. But I imagine that was probably a communication thing. She may have thought they were waiting for them all to get in the bush. And because the Martina ult is going to burn down most of Sua, Magnus is going to be able to catch up to her. And she got stunned. Oh, she got stunned by the Martina ult. That's going to be a bike into an E. And she's dead for that. So really good play. I think that's literally the only way they kill Sua there. I don't think she dies any other way. And they force Chiara into red, so. Really good out of Fudge. I'm sure he probably communicated that with pings for his team. Not gonna be able to get the Chiara. I think one of the skills that's really good for high elo players that you'll see is them being able to recognize when they have a kill angle on stuff. That's a really important skill to have. It's something you kind of get with experience. Sua is really silly right now. I was very surprised to see that she got buffs in the last patch. I thought she would be untouched. I did not expect buffs. Does he use hammer skill often? Immediately after E, if he gets a wall stun. Every time. Good vision check. He is tanky enough to probably face check. Here's the corridor you were talking about. See if they take a fight in this tiny corridor. Wick coming soon, so they probably don't want to risk too many fights. Oh no, it's only night 3. Wick's not coming soon. Oh, here's the corridor. Huge Martina ult. Lots of Adri damage. Lots of Magnus damage. They are somehow gonna get out of this, it looks like. Oh, there's the bike. Huge double bike there. Suo would probably go down. There's the Blade of Truth for the speed. Gets the Q on Hunwoo. Might be able to chase him down too. Hunwoo aggro's the board. Magnus will probably be able to take it in. There's the wall stun on the Jackie. Hunwoo kind of causing his Jackie to take a ton of damage. Has to burn Blink to get out. Also, she got a skin. Yeah, they say they don't do that, but they've done that multiple times. Wick coming soon. This time, Wick is coming soon. 50 seconds. Probably will look to shadow it. They know teams are around.
Let's fill up and go.
Gotta look to get one more call in. That's going to be for the Evening Star. We're going to have a 5 transition Magnus for Wick. Probably don't want to spend too much time up here. They do want to get to Wick in case a team does try to burn it down. They are looking to be one of the stronger teams in the lobby, so definitely want to be there. Goulet goes past Superior and Hunwoo before crashing instead of trying to just crash into Superior's ass. Yeah. Really controlled play. He has really good patience. 5 seconds on Wick. Probably going to see pings
Break time is over. Time to get going.
for when they start. Martina's very far behind, but the other team doesn't know that. Not looking to engage, notices Martina is super far away. Just kind of looking to get up in their face. Doesn't want to give it away though that that their teammate's not close by. So walks almost all the way up to the 11. And now they've seen that there's 3 teams nearby, so they can kind of back up a little bit. We saw the teleport ping come in, that Magnus is going to die. That's why you don't hyperloop in the late game. And while everyone's distracted, they're just going to be able to get Wick. So free Wick. And then they can reset. Really good play there. Is it not worth going Cavalcade over the Immobilized thing? I think Cavalcade's a little bit overtuned. I would be surprised if he wasn't going it. I haven't looked too far into this build, but I imagine both probably have their situations. Gonna see the Elena. No, she's gonna try and call in a teammate here. A little bit unfortunate. Elena kind of making a desperate play there. Probably should have just called a root kit. Or wait until she had more space.
Taking them down one by
A little bit of a waste of credits there. And they kind of want to use their Wick buff to hunt some teams. And once again, right? Like from day 4 to... or night 3 to day 5 have kind of just been in this area. They were in stream before, playing around the vision here. They're in police station making calls, and they're in fire station for Wick. Kind of just the same 3 zones again that we've seen. Not too much movement. Once again, make sure to grab vision console, and they kind of just want to play around vision console too, making sure that they're the ones with vision for this final zone. Teams will have to come to them, and then with Wick, it's going to be hard for teams to walk into them. Genuinely, you want to try and camp kiosk or camp the vision consoles if you can. Stop other teams from getting them. It's day 5, so teams won't be able to res anyways. And there's 5 teams left, so a lot of people are going to be congealed up into this final square. It looks like they're going to try and get in the back way, and I think this is a really good play. So they had the cams, right? Which means they'll be able to see that there is a team here trying to enter what would be the final square. Because the final square for firing station looks like something like this. It's like right here. They can see that there are 2 teams over here. Because of that, they're going to try and enter throughout the back. They will have to burn red a little bit to get in, which I think is fine. It's like 2 steps of red. But this team, this pink team here, doesn't know that they're behind them, right? So that's going to be either an easy third party or just going to get the flank and force them out of the zone. And when you're fighting in final zones, you always want to fight out of the final zone, right? Like you don't want to fight into the final zone. It's much easier to establish positioning first.
I'm glad there's 2 of us at times like these.
Martina is also pretty smart to abuse the low ECD at high levels to check a lot of places. Yeah. There it is. They're going to force them out of the zone. Going to clear out the traps. Team was not prepared for a team coming up behind them because it was going to be a red zone. And easy way to just clear out traps. Simple. And now they have position advantage. And these other teams are forced to fight each other. They've effectively caused this fight all just by taking an alternative route into the final square. Magnus is going to do some scouting. Is going to see that these teams aren't full health. Going to look to make up some space. Kind of just surveying the area, clearing out traps. Not looking to bike into anybody. Looking for try and cause some fights for other teams with Q and E. 53 seconds of timer, yeah. They haven't burned any, and they've been getting kills. And they're going to get the free zone. All because they just pathed from this bush into the zone instead of trying to force their way through 2 teams. Sometimes you just have to make the simple play. We'll watch this final zone just because there's so much more people over here, but I do want to pay attention to when they leave. Actually, let me do that real quick. So Magnus has 53 seconds of timer. There's 50 seconds left in safe zone, so if he spends the entire remaining amount of day, he will not explode. Adriana is 50 seconds. She needs to wait 1 more second, and 53 on Martina. This is basically where the term ABC comes from. If you're in a final zone and all the other teams are in the other final zone, you want to leave your final zone typically when your team has enough timer. If you're strong, if you're weak, you might just want to try and conserve timer. But when you're the strongest team, you don't need timer as much. We'll probably see them leave around 49, 48 because of the Adriana having a little bit less timer. And then you want to try and third party these fights. You can risk it and try and leave earlier, but just try to play around your timer. You will explode if you don't have more restricted timer than that's left in the day for day 6. I do have a video on my channel about how to ABC properly. It just is the same thing I just explained if you want to go back to it. So there we go. 49 seconds, 48 seconds. And they all started to head over. Magnus going to lead. You can also see that there's no team fighting right now because the zone is green. When another team walks into it, there's Magnus just biking in, actually. It'll turn pink like this. That's kind of how you know as well. Then we're going to get the escape. And they've basically made a successful third party on the strongest team that they would have had to fight, right? Gets the Sua instantly. Chiara's forced out instantly. Martina's left on her own, and she's going to explode the timer. The more timer that you have, right? If the other teams are fighting in here, burning timer, it's likely that when you go over, you just have to survive. You don't even have to kill them most of the time, too. You just have to survive so that you can outlast their timer or kill them. This game is over. It's not ending because this team is escaping. So it's an unfortunate spectator thing that we do have to wait for them to escape. So I will just be leaving. But that is the end of the game. They won. Just Humwoo thing, sitting in the bush, yeah. How substantial is the HP recovery on passive? I think Magnus's max passive second. Maybe it's first. We can take a look at the build. I do have it input just in case. This looks like, yeah, so they max it first actually. So pretty substantial. It looks like they do passive WEQ. Yeah, passive WEQ. And with that, we have one more game to look at. I think they don't have time to escape in the 4 seconds it takes to actually take the console. Yeah. I've definitely seen some teams blow up trying to escape. Don't look at my awful match history, Jesus Christ. It's having some rough games, really. Okay, there he is. Once again, gets the other spawn in chapel. And we're going to see it same as game 1. Going to run back down to this chapel spawn now that it's open again. For those of you that missed game 1, because this build goes chapel and then factory, you want to take the zone that's closest to factory if you can. If not, take the second closest up here and then take the hyperloop. And he's just going to run straight down, leading towards the hyperloop. Take the top boxes first. Once again, Bread with Tears. All the same as game 1. And because he got his double glue this time, he'll be much faster than the previous game. So we should see him look to take this bat, the boar when it spawns, and the hunts over here as well. He'll be at 3 purple items: weapon, head, and chest. There's the 3 purple items. You see Q on the bat, E on the boar, and then W on the rest of the hunts. Blade of Truth making these hunts really easy. Yeah. The AoE spin on W plus Blade of Truth is very quick. So we'll see him head back into Uptown now. Finish off the rest of his build. He's going to run into a haze here. Probably will get poked down for some mastery. There's the Q. It's W. Haze cancel and auto there. Really good play. Uses the speed to gap close onto the haze. Doesn't get the wall stun, but I don't think he needs it. It's going to be 2 kills here. Not sure he's going to get this last hit. Yeah, he doesn't get either of them, unfortunately. But really good play to use the speed gate to gap close onto the haze. Really smart. Okay. I don't know if any of you caught it, but the Magnus just did something here that I want to talk about that I don't see a lot of players do. Because Magnus is an amp character, right? And he just killed Hayes, who's an amp character. Magnus didn't have his boots completed yet. He's still on the knee pads, doesn't have the tachyon brace yet. He takes the boots from the Hayes, who's full build, and he's going to wear them, and then he's going to complete the rest of his build until he gets his tachyons and then swap them out. One thing you can do if you're behind, if you run into dead bodies on the ground and you haven't finished your build yet, pick up their items and then wear them, right? Like knee pad or SCV obviously isn't what he wants. He wants tachyon, but it's better than knee pads. It's going to give him more movement speed. It's going to give him more amp. Like, it's just better in terms of quality. Purple items are generally better than blue items. If you're missing like 3 items, he could just put on the Haze's build until he gets his full build. And that's not like something I see very often. It was more common back in solos, but I don't see it too much in teams because you can just group with a teammate and finish your build. But it is a good play. And I guarantee you we'll see him finish the Tachyon still instead of wearing the SCV. Typically, you only do it when you're an amp character and you find a dead character that's an amp character, or you're a crit character and you find a dead crit character. Yeah, with boots, you get a little bit more freedom. I would do it generally with any boot just so that you get the movement speed to help get your items quicker. But for other items, unless it's like a defense increase, you probably want to find someone with the same type of damage as you. I'm sure we've all been in plenty of situations where we got double spawn 2 zones in a row and it's coming up to night 1 and we only have 3 items done. I'll probably make that. I need to make that that tip into a short. To a return quick tip. Grouped up with his team once again, right? Wasn't uptown, took the bears. Groups up with the rest of his team. In temple again, probably was looking for bears, or just groups up with the Sua. As we know, bears are our night hunts, wolves are our day hunts. Until day 3. I really like that speed gate play on the Hazel. So we should see them group up again for Temple Tree. And I imagine that in this comp, it's not going to go over to the Magnus for Glacial Shoes this time. So this is similar to our Game 1 comp. Instead of Aya, we have Chloe, and instead of Lead Island, we have Sua. But it's a double frontline comp. They're going to be splitting sort of the damage, so I don't think they'll have to worry too much about getting burnt down front to back. I imagine this tree is probably going to go to Chloe. She's going to have the most sustained damage in the early game. Team around, so Magnus is going to be the one to grab it on the tree in case he gets engaged on. Really good peel back here, right? Doesn't bike instantly at the Magnus on his Chloe. Walks back, gets the reset, and then looks to wall stun. Misses the wall stun again, but it's okay. And look how they're all staying together, right? His team's right on top of him. We might see a bike once he gets through the corridor. Chicken in front of him. Doesn't want to get blocked by the chicken. Bike's in front of Hyunwoo to cut off the escape. Hyunwoo W's early, thinking he's going to get slowed by the bike. Really good play by the Magnus here. If he bikes into the Hyunwoo, right, he doesn't get the slow. He's gonna doesn't get a wall stun for the E. Really good play to try and bike in front of him and cut off the escape. I like that a lot. Fudge just showing why you can make Magnus look so mechanical, dude. Like for such a basic character, there's like so much you can do on him. It is Tomfooey, yeah. And the tree, I believe, yeah, I went over to Chloe for radar. Straggler behind, they're gonna be able to pick off the heart here. Fudge positioning very aggressively, like he's almost in the face, gonna get eaten here. Takes a lot of damage. Not even getting burned down though. Good focus on his team to burn down the Chiara. Let's talk about the positioning right here for a second. After the heart. So they got this heart kill. And look how aggressive Fudge is teamed up. Or Fudge's positioning here, right? His team is way far back. Way far back. Like there's no follow-up from them on anything he does. Like if he gets a wall stun on the Celine on this wall right here, there's no way Chloe can W from there. Siwa would have to ER, and that might just put her in Q range. It probably wouldn't even put her in like attack range. There's definitely no follow up. So instead, he doesn't E. He just takes up space, establishes his presence up in the front line. So that's good patience number one. He's positioning very, very aggressively here, but he plays this fight very, very defensively. And partially it's because he gets knocked in with E, right? Like once he's here, his team needs to follow up on him, otherwise he's just dead. But instead of going for the wall stun, right? First step is back. And then kites towards his team, right? Looks to walk in. Chloe's crafting, which is kind of insane because she wants to get that meteorite. A little bit of insane play. Gives up on it and comes to help. But these spins are all backwards, right? Like he's never... Like when you're this close, you can be so tempted to just walk up and then spin on the Celine at Yenwu, right? But instead, he's spinning back towards his team. And partially it's because Chiara is running past him to try and maybe get AoE ticks on all the members. But I think he dies if he leaves his team to try and dive the Celine. He gets wall stunned by Taunt for Hyunwoo and takes a ton of damage. And they recognize that the biggest threat from the enemy team right now is Chiara's ult executing the Magnus, right? Like if that happens, this fight basically gets swing the other way. Really good bat skill, I believe, by the Sua. Yeah, bat skill by the Sua right here to stun the Chiara into the wall before she can get the ult reset onto Fudge. I don't think it kills them there, but it definitely would put a lot of pressure on them for that fight. So a really good play there by Fudge. Pathing defensively, but positioning aggressively. Basically ate most of the damage from that Celine too. Yeonwoo not really doing much in that fight. But able to absorb a lot of the Celine. And once again, we're in Battle Zone. All 3 games we went to Battle Zone. It's kind of been the play. This one will be free. Not going to be able to get a Mithril because there's no one in the Battle Zone, so opts for the Meteorite instead, and I believe that should go to Astronaut Helmet. I don't think he makes Evening Star from it. Yeah, there's the call-in. So we'll have the healing reduction online. We should see him call a Mithril in right here, just so he has the Mithril online. Kind of the same as every game so far. Yep, and there's the Mithril request. So big emphasis on Tindalos Monarch and Astronaut Helmet for first 2 transitions. Kind of want to have those every game if you can. And we'll see what play they make next. Mutant Bears Ford up in Temple. Able to get them because they didn't have to spend time in the Battle Zone, which is nice. Always keeping that XP up. Mastery. And because they made this early call for the Tindalos Monarch, I don't think we'll see him make a day 3 call in at the start of day 3. Probably will be either later into day 3 or night 3. Gonna pick up the bears here. It is night 2. They have 2 transitions on Magnus, 1 transition, the Magic Bat over on Sua, and 3 transitions on the Chloe. So the Chloe is very strong. Over to the Vision console again. Looks like they want to fight for Meteorite. It is going to be free, it looks like. I imagine a lot of teams are in school with 1 purple box here and 1 purple box up here. And like I said, they made their calls, so it looks like they're not going to go for this call-in. They're just going to pick up the objective. A lot of teams, like I said, will be looking to do calls on day 3. So if you're not, you should be looking for an objective. Tindalus is sleeper OP for the CDR specifically. It's a nice item for the CDR cap, and it being on the arm piece is also nice. There's the meteorite. This might be for Evening Star. Chloe already 3 transitioned. I think Evening Star is a bigger transition for Magnus than it is for Cowboy Hat or Star of the Wild for Chloe. Chloe probably a little upset about that's what the emote was for. And they should be able to pick up a purple box here too. I believe that purple box, I guess it's not there. It's already been taken. We love spectating glitches. Purple box, I think that would have just been taken in hotel, or it's coming to hotel. I think this one's coming to hotel. I think these were the 2 for day 3. Or maybe there's 3 on the map and they were just all on the top side. Yeah, I guess they were just all on the top side. Gonna look to pick off a team here now that they're in hotel. He goes over the wall. Another team here. Gonna take some damage. I don't think they want this fight knowing that there's 2 teams so close to each other. Definitely don't want to get third-partied and counter-engaged by the team that they're just chasing. Omega is going to spawn here, so they probably will stay around this area. And like we said, they did their day 3 call-ins on day 2, so they're not doing call-ins until later into night 3. Chloe gets her call-in, gets the 4 score for Sudarasana. And Magnus does his call-in as well for a Tree of Life. That looks to be for Glacial Shoes, and we'll have everything except for chest again. Once again, not really prioritizing the Guardian suit. I think, again, because he has a shared front line. And this is probably going to be a free Omega for them. Going to pick up Console Vision again, just so they can stay safe. Why Vigor item over Burst? Are you talking about for Chloe?
Time is over. Time to get going.
Does she have another option for... I can't open the item menus, but I don't know if she has another option. Like, I think Sudarasana is just her best weapon. Like, over Pedal Torrent? Is that what you're saying? Chloe does get a lot of eye attacks in the fight. I don't think the Vigor is, like, that big of a priority. I think it just happens to be on the weapon, so it's good. Yeah, Repel Torrent. Yeah, I think just when you're playing Chloe, you get more auto attacks down than the burst from Pedal Torrent can provide. I imagine it does more damage over time. I haven't played Chloe in a while. I used to keep up with her a lot, but I'd imagine that the Vigor, or we're biking, the Vigor just plays a bigger part in team modes with longer fights. Spiked in straight on this team. Gonna kind of 1v3 here. Is strong enough to survive. Knows how much damage he can take. Oh, and Celine doesn't make it over. That's unfortunate. She's gonna go down for that. It's crazy that he knows how strong he is. He can just bike in from pretty much anywhere with no follow-up. A little bit of a limit test there, but it works out for them. Going to be coming into day 4 soon. They would have just seen the feet of Chiara walk by, I think. Yeah, I think he got spooked a little bit with how much damage he took. Not face checking bushes there. Opts for the Q check. And on radar scan, they're going to see these two teams fighting up here. Might look for a third party.
Your clothes?
Tac skill module gonna go over to Magnus. Looks like he found one, or the Chloe found one. And new zone instantly runs to get vision again. Team nearby, we'll see if he looks to engage onto them. No pings so far, so shouldn't know that they're there. Might be able to see pings up in gas station though. Q checks the bush as well. Doesn't see a team here. He is going to be able to hear the Chiara ult, so gonna get a third party down here. Chiara ult goes down. This looks like it should be a kill. Big Sua stun. Kenwu goes down. Chiara's probably gonna get chased down too. Rapier skills to the wolf. Okay. One thing I do want to mention. So they get the third party onto this team, right? The green team. If you're the green team, I talked about earlier how in the late game, you kind of have to think of your health bar as a team, as like a pool, right? You can't really take fights if your team's low on health. I think one member is like super low because it'll just end up being a 2v3. You have to kind of do the same thing with cooldowns as well. And the green team here knows that Chiara just ulted and doesn't have ult anymore. And they can see that they're getting third party now. Their immediate reaction either has to be, we have to get out. So they either all have to sprint out one way or another. I think this is kind of a like, at this point, when you don't have big cooldowns, you kind of have to recognize that it's like, hey, this isn't going to go our way regardless. And make sure that at least one of you are getting out. I would have liked to, because this is a red zone, or Alley's a red zone, I would like to see them all go this way and take their chances with the third party over here. Or run this way and then try and put the Magnus team, Fudge's team in the middle. I think either of them are viable options, but instead they kind of just like hover in this middle area. And I think that's probably the worst thing that they can do, is not make a decision here. So just the takeaway from that is like, in the late game, think of your health bar, like your team's health bar as one pool, and think of your cooldowns all as one pool. It's this little like hesitation here. Hunwoo steps up and W's, and then they get double stunned. Like, and this team ends up walking this way, right? Like they could have had a free exit down here. The Celine is gonna get chased down, but or even if they fleet in the red, right? Like there's likely they're not gonna get chased in the red. Anything other than what they did probably would have been the best play. So we hit pad backs and Sue and Magnus followed her on the next pad, but Chloe also hit the pad all the way back, so then Chloe had to hop back over too. Oh, and Sem? Yeah. Wick spawning, they're running straight to Wick. The only thing they're stopping for is a gold box along the way. They don't see pings or Wick aggroing, so they know that there is no team on it currently. We'll run into this team, it looks like. Once again, with Wick not getting pulled, are able to run straight to the vision console first. And they know one team, okay. They know one team is in archery, right? Like they saw the team get third partied up here. They would have seen the Celine go down somewhere up here. Instead of, and with this being a yellow zone, instead of them holding this entrance for the chance at wiping this team, they know the value of Wick. They ran immediately to Wick, only stopping for this gold box up here. Like in a lot of my games, I see teams like not go to Wick just to try and get some kills. Wick is a very powerful tool. It's likely that they'll get these kills anyways from having the Wick buff at some point later in the game. So you might as well just go to Wick. They could have just held this zone and forced them to fight out with with it closing. But I really like the play of just abandoning the 3 kills there and going straight to Wick. Once again, they see no aggro's on it. Purple team might aggro it because it's been so long. Well, they end up walking past it, actually. Oh, it's just 2 of them, that's why. They're missing their Barbara. Gonna pick up vision, so now they have vision and fire station and pond. Can see that there's no teams around. Their only entrance for a team is through here, which they'll see on cameras now. So they know that they can burn it down. Kind of the same thing as game 1 when they took it up in archery. And then they reset the fight. They don't want to take a fight instantly because they didn't get engaged on. So they can back away, get their cooldowns, get their crafts, and then look to fight with Wick Buff.
Oops, did you rip your clothes? Time is over.
Day 5, we're going to get another final zone fire station. And that situation that they had up in archery range where they could hold a team up here in the red, they can do that now with the Wick Buff for this team. So basically the same position presents themselves later in the game, right? Now they don't have cameras. They are going to prioritize getting cameras first so that they don't get third partied. They were standing on a camera to do that. If they start fighting, it's likely that they'll get third partied. There's the team from earlier. It looks like, yeah, there's the vision. So they establish vision first before they make their engage. Really smart play. Fights are so dangerous at this point in the game. Bushes are super dangerous at this point in the game. They know that there's a team down here in front of them. They don't know that there's a team over the wall here. I don't believe. But they are going to force the team to walk through red. Just a couple steps. Get my cursor out of the way. At this point, they want to look for stragglers. They don't want to commit too far to fights. But here, Magnus steps up. They're actually going to engage onto the Magnus here. But just going to block the path so Magnus can't bike out quick. Really good play there. Obviously, Magnus isn't the primary target, right? Like, he's not the ideal target for them to engage on. Obviously, they'd rather pick up his teammates, like the Hayes or Jackie. They would much prefer to kill one of those two rather than their Magnus. However, at this stage of the game, when you're coming into the final zone, you pretty much want to take where you can, take the kills where you can without too much risk. It's like I talked about earlier with the like percentages, right? Like that kill on the Magnus is like 80% going to go their way because it's just picking someone off. Even if he escapes, he has to burn bike. He has to he might bike back into the other team. They might get third partied, which they did because Hayes is fleeing into red now and this Jackie's in a very bad position. They took what they could get and then they instantly backed out and reset, right? Sua's going a little bit too far forward here. She might look to get engaged on by the other team, especially with her front line being all the way back here. But they were able to get the Magnus down, and that team has to fight 2v3 for the rest of the game because it's day 5. So really important to just kind of take off what you can. Don't want to fully commit for a huge fight with other teams around. Then you kind of just like reassess where the other members of the other teams are. I really can't stress how important this is in the late game to kind of pick and choose your battles. You're not looking to wipe many teams. You're looking to try and make the best, most winnable scenario for you in the late game. And then right back to vision console. Reset that timer. Make sure they have vision of everyone. You also want to try and camp this vision console so that you're the ones with vision, but also you want to try and find where every team is. They would have seen this green team on this cam here. They know red team's missing a member, and they know blue team's missing a member from when they fought earlier at Wick. So all they need to do is find a way to kill the green team. They know they're the biggest threats right now. Once again, picking off stragglers, picked off the Heart, picked off the Sua, those 2 third parties. And now we have 2 teams with 1 member who are just going to take this final zone because that's all they have. Like I said earlier, again, you want to fight coming out of the zone. You don't want to fight into the zone if you can. Do you ever plan on covering Barbara? Maybe. I kind of just pick and choose from the top of the NA ladder. So if any of them ever hit the top of the NA ladder, I probably will. And once again, look at the timers. 50 seconds on the game timer. They all had over 60 seconds, so they don't have to worry about timing out. They can see that this zone was purple because the 11 walked in, I believe. Was it the 11 or is it Jack? Oh no, it was over here. They would have seen the teammate timer go down, so they can assume that they can start walking over. They also won't time out. I imagine that we're not going to see the big bike into the zone. We're probably just going to see them assess the situation because it's way less dangerous, or way more dangerous than the previous game to try and do that. Okay. This is a straggler kill, right? And we just talked about overcommitting over here when the Vanya E'd forward and the Leanne also E'd forward. This is a straggler Jackie, and as Magnus comes around the corner, he would have seen the Bianca mid-E, knows that's one big cooldown, she can't get herself back out, and Sua E'd forward as well. Now Sua has a bit more tools to try and peel for herself, but Bianca is just going to have to coffin in the middle of the team, so that makes an easy target to engage on. Spinning on her head. Bianca has nowhere to go. That's going to be a pick off. Hi, Mona. How's it going? And that sets up a 3v2 for them for the final zone. So 3v2, really easy. Unless you like miss execute hard. Sua plus Nadine is a pretty good comp for 3v2ing. You want a marksman plus someone who can peel for them, kind of. They are now back on this side, so they will have to walk into the final square, but they should be able to push them out pretty easily because they're 3 people.
There's someone in front of us.
You're from the Philippines? Welcome, welcome. I'm just finishing up the final game here, so not live for too much longer. When you're fighting 3v2, there's a few things you can do, right? First, they're going to sniff out the traps with the EMP drones. Really good play. Remember your late game checklist. I talk about it in my late game guide. You need food, SP, cameras, traps, and EMP drones if you can. Ideally, that's what you want to fill your inventory with. But when you're fighting 3v2, there's a few ways you can play it. You can either fight front to back with the Chloe and Sua. You can try and rip down the enemy Sua before the Nadine can rip down your Magnus, which is very likely. Or you can dive the Nadine and leave the Sua to try and 1v3. Both will work in this case. I think they have the comp to try and do either. Doesn't really matter. The thing they can't do is be split decision. So one person can't do one thing while the others try to do one thing, because Nadine will rip through one person at least, and Sua can sustain herself taking damage for a little bit. Typically, though, with number advantages, though, you do want to fight front to back if you can, unless your team is really susceptible to getting burned down quickly, like if you're running no tank or if you're running double mage. With such a heavy dive comp, you can just deal with the Nadine. Yeah, you can. I think diving Nadine is the best play out of the two, but 3v2, realistically, you can do either. Where am I from? I'm from Canada. All right, so let's see how they play it. Clearing out the traps, I like that first. Are gonna take some huge poke from the Sua. Gets a QR. Stun into the trap. Nadine cult comes out. Chloe's basically burned down. Has to burn the ult. Nadine traded Chloe out for Nadine ult. That's not too bad. Sua steps up here. Is gonna get comboed again. They're pretty much playing this as worse as possible. I'd honestly rather see them do a full reset. Magnus kind of forced to push the Nadine out of the zone to create some space. This is really good for them. They're going to be forced to reset here. Thank you for the subscribing. Appreciate it. They do have to get back into the zone. Their timers are coming down. Fudge definitely took some poke here. He's down to half health. Nadine pulls herself out of the trap with the wire. Sua gets a good stun. And then good timing on the stasis, but she's going to get burned down here, it looks like. Chloe did really good at waiting with the W. They are kind of low, though. This Nadine's still full health. Arrow is going to take out Magnus. Let's see how... This is a terrible monkey wire. Oh, into the trap too. Really unfortunate. Okay, I'm gonna guess that was a misclick by the Nadine. They almost lost that. That was really close. Yeah, Superior played that really well on Sua. Enemy team ate 2 QRs.
You enjoyed the show.
Really bad fight, but that's kind of how 3v2 does go. I'm gonna imagine that's a misclick from the monkey wire on the D. Definitely, I think she could have just eat backwards and been fine. Maybe she was at a timer. A little unfortunate that she eats right into a trap though. I would have picked a big, more defensive E. What was the enemy Nadine running amp? That Q damage was bonkers. It scales off stacks as well. I can check to see what her build was. Just give me a minute. Is it this game? It's this game here. So Nadine had, yeah, she was running Androxus, Elegant Gown, Persona. She was pretty much amp. Not fully transitioned, but she was running amp. Good call out on that. 26k damage too. Magnus basically doing as much damage as the Chloe though. Crazy. So we're not putting in too much damage. Anyways though, that's how you play Magnus like WaterFudge. Really appreciate you guys coming out the stream. Hope you learned a lot about tank positioning and how to kind of be the biggest factor in a team fight. Magnus, there's a lot, for a simple character, there's a lot more that you can do on him than just spinning on the enemy team's head. So I hope Fudge showcased that really well. Does her R deal amp-based damage as well? Yeah, it scales off R. Q and R scale off amp and stacks. W is just amp, and then E just provides attack speed. Yeah, amp Nadine used to be more of a thing in the past. Kind of the consensus, I think, for Bow Nadine is that you run AP attack speed in the early game, but as you transition to amp. I think that's her current playstyle. That's what it was in the past. Nadine has kind of been awful at the start of the season, so I haven't really played her too much, but I think she's like my 3rd most played. Yeah, she's my 3rd most played. I used to play a lot of her in the past. She still have to last hit to get her stacks? No, she just has to be a part of the hunt now. It still says slaying wild animals and test subjects, but she just has to participate in it. She doesn't have to be the one to last it. Good question, though. Like, I really want to try out Amp Nadine later. Way in the past, a long time ago, Amp Nadine used to terrorize builds because you went W max and her squirrel traps did 1 billion damage. They did so much damage in the past. You went crossbow amp and you would just crossbow people into the wall and explode them with W. That was one of my favorite Nadines to play. I think I have a clip of it in the past. See if I can find it real quick. Yeah, here it is. Really old clip of Eternal Turn back in the day. Ooh. Okay, the scrolling is weird. How much damage that is? Just from Amp Drone W. You can't really do this anymore on Nadine though, unfortunately. Yeah, Amp Drone crossbow. It was very cursed. Thank you guys, love, for coming out. I appreciate it tons. That will be the end of Play Like a Pro. This is Play Like a Pro Season 2, Episode 1, where we watched WaterFudge. Next week, we will watch someone else. Don't forget, I will be streaming live on YouTube on Friday, where we do live coaching. I will post the form in the chat if any of you would like to submit games. We already have a couple of responses. So I appreciate you guys submitting your games for that. If anyone else would like to submit, feel free. There's the form. That's crit carry Johan levels of curse. Oh god, crit Johan. But yeah, I will hopefully see you guys all on Friday. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for the great stream. See ya.